stats show the chances of people who identify as LGBTQ becoming unhoused far outweigh the same chances for someone outside that community. And those circumstances can be devastating, especially for the youngest among them. Our next guest knows that firsthand, but he's now doing great thanks to an organization here in New York City. Let's welcome Maddox and the Executive Director of the Ali Forney Center, Alex. We call them rag-human. Okay, so I'm gonna start with you, Maddox. So, what was life before? What was it like before the center?
So I always have to think back to when I was a young person. You know, growing up, I felt differently internally than I did externally, right? Externally, I was socialized as female, but I always felt masculine internally. So obviously that then led to me becoming a very depressed adult. You know, I dropped out of high school because I couldn't even imagine myself in the future. I couldn't imagine anything. You know, it got to the point where I was living with my mom, but I was out all night. I would come home when my mom wasn't home. So I was out all night, home all day, and then back out at night because I didn't feel comfortable at home. At some point, my partner went through this list of what could possibly be wrong with you? And they're like, are you trans? And I was like, yes, I am trans. And at that point, I decided to cut ties with my family in order to transition because I thought that they wouldn't accept me. So I, left my home, and I struggled in the streets for about 2 years until I then encountered the Ali Forney Center.
Wow. You know, and I've heard that a lot. People do that a lot. They'll escape their house and they'll know when people are coming and going just so they can feel a little bit more isolated because they don't want to have the talk. They don't want to. They don't want to have the confrontation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you relate to Maddox, right?
Yeah, personally, my experience is very similar. I didn't feel accepted at home. I grew in and out of care systems. And I actually was part of an organization like the one I run today that helped young people find community, find care, find support. And I have this opportunity to make a difference as was made for me when I was in need.
Yeah, absolutely. Give it back out. Yeah. So what is the Ali Forney Center like? What is the experience there for everybody?
Sure. The Ali Forney Center is the nation's largest and most comprehensive organization dedicated to housing and caring for unhoused, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth. These are young people who are largely rejected by their families, thrown out into the streets, and denied love simply because of who they are. Each year, we see over 2,000 young people who've known the heartache and heartbreak of family rejection. And our work is centered on helping these young people overcome that trauma, overcome the harms of homelessness, the trauma of family rejection. We offer a host of services, including medical and mental health services, housing and career and educational readiness services. And our drop-in center is the nation's first and only of its kind. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Our doors do not close, not for holidays, not for hurricanes, and not for a pandemic. At this center, we offer young people these vital supports, including over 50,000 meals a year. And largely, or more fundamentally, our work is rooted around helping young people understand that there's nothing wrong with who they are.
Absolutely. And Ali Forney was actually a person, right?
Ali Forney was a person. Ali Forney was 13 years old when he, too, felt unsupported and uncared for because of his identity. And tragically, Ali ended up in the foster care system where he bounced around over 8 different placements in a 2-year period. And at the age of 15, Ali felt safer on the streets and in the systems that were supposed to protect him. And this is true for many young people. Many young people, like Maddox describes, feel safer in streets and where they're allowed to be themselves. That's how important it is to be affirmed and to be told it's okay to be you.
Yeah.
And tragically, Ali, like many young people, lost his life on the streets. Ali was murdered in 1997. He was shot and left for dead. But he represented so much light and so much love in this world, and he cared so much for his community. He had so much resilience that our founder, Carl Siciliano, could not bear that his name would ever vanish. And 5 years after his death, the Ali Forney Center was opened with the simple mission of helping keep these young people safe overnight.
That's so cool. What was your initial experience like at the center?
So before I encountered the Ali Forney Center, I was actually at another shelter. And coming from that shelter to the Ali Forney shelter was almost magical, right? Because the other shelter was very institutional. It was very gray. I honestly describe it almost like a jail, right? One of my core memories I remember entering the Ali Forney Center is I was handed PJs and cup noodles, and it felt like a sleepover at a cousin's house, right?
Yeah.
It didn't feel like I was coming into the shelter. And so over time, with my experiences at the Ali Forney Center, I met, people like Alex, who've always been very supportive of me, checking in on me. And over time, I then was into trans housing, which was housing for folks who identify as trans. To me, that felt very important to be amongst other folks like me. And it was also very important for me to, for the first time ever in my new identity, have my own space, have like my own closet, my own thing. Just visually seeing that was very helpful for me. And while in trans housing, I was able to get things like my name change, my birth certificate, all my survival needs met. And because I had my survival needs met, I was then supported with supporting my community in ways that honestly became unimaginable.
So Maddox, being at the center got you into advocacy yourself, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it started everything for me, honestly. So there was a philosophy that while experiencing homelessness got me through, and it gets me through this day, and it's this idea of protopia. And protopia is the idea that every day you get to work towards the world you want to see. So while at the Ali Forney Center, I actually got to live that. My first ever sort of job or internship was inspecting shelters in the city and making sure that the living conditions were adequate. From that, I then became into the youth advocacy path. So I then helped co-found the New York City Youth Action Board. Today, I actually lead the Ali Forney Center's Youth Action Board. And one of the things that I'm most proud of achieving was that over time in my advocacy career, I was able to co-create a program called Direct Cash Transfers, which is giving young people experiencing homelessness unconditional cash, so no strings attached. And I started that work here in New York City, and now it's grown to over 5 states in the U.S.
Wow, you did that.
Yeah.
I hope that makes you feel so proud.
Oh, for sure,
You were even honored by the White House, right?
Yes, exactly. So in 2022, I was able to go to the White House for my work in youth homelessness and its correlation to mental health, right? I mean, if you don't have your survival needs met, I believe you cannot take care of your mental health. So I got a chance to, talk to the president, the first lady about LGBTQ youth homelessness as it relates to mental health. And honestly, it was surreal, right? I've always been a visionary. I've always dreamed and imagined. And, sometimes when you're caught up in the day-to-day, you forget how far you've overcome. So I always kind of, think back at that. And now I receive mail from the White House, and I'm like, oh, look, I'm getting
That's
a
crazy.
Christmas letter from the White House.
Yeah, that's incredible. I don't even want to focus on this, but I have to mention it. Every photo we've shown and you sitting here, you have the most fabulous style ever.
Oh, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wild.
I know it's not about that, but if you wanted to start your own line, I'm like, I keep seeing pictures of you, and I'm like, you're so cool.
Oh, I appreciate it. Maybe I should shift careers.
I know, or do both. You can even find other youth that are like
do
you,
both.
that are really into that as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this actually all helped you reconnect with your family, right?
Yes.
Because your family must have been kind of going insane while all this
They
was going on with you,
were.
because you feel helpless.
Yeah, they were certainly looking for me. I mean, we were estranged for almost 5 years.
I can't imagine as a mother.
It was wild. It was a huge sacrifice that I had to do. And I also had a very dramatic reunification. So the way that I rekindled with my mom was actually through a commercial that was broadcasted nationally, and it was a campaign for LGBTQ homeless youth that was called Love Calls Back. And so basically folks who were estranged from their family got a chance to call, get on the phone and call their parent. In my case, I called my mom. And so it was the first time we've spoken in over 5 years. And for me, it was very special because I always dreamed of having that relationship with my mom. But before coming out, I felt like I couldn't because I felt like I wasn't being true to myself. So I'm very grateful that we do have that relationship now.
I know, and I love it's a powerful story that other people can hear now and know that they can still reconnect, It doesn't necessarily have to be like you split forever.
Exactly.
It's a very powerful thing. So what do you want to say to Alex?
So to Alex, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you for all that you've done for me and others, of course, but you always support in making my dreams a reality and really connecting. And you're just also such a gem of a human. I mean, it speaks volumes that you brought me and Sammy over here today, right? We're both former clients from the Ali Forney Center, and now we get to work there. So that really speaks to how much of an amazing leader you are, your unwavering support to the youth, to the staff. And I just want to let you know how much of an amazing, rare, golden heart you have. It's really amazing and appreciated.
Oh, my God. Oh, man. Well, I want to say this, guys. Maddox is just one of so many who have been supported in life-changing ways by the Ali Forney Center. Our friends at ConAgra believe everyone deserves consistent access to nutritious food. So to help the center feed even more people, ConAgra is giving you $10,000.
Yes!
That's amazing.
It's really amazing. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Great hug.
Thank you
So much. Oh my God.
Yes. It smells so good as well. We'll be right back with What I'm Liking, everybody.